Dean cruised in his quaint little blue Mini Clubman en route to Danny's place. The day had kicked off on a high note after Dean successfully swapped his air rifle for a stash of 180 tabs of Jimi Hendrix LSD. It was a stellar beginning for Dean, and he was now heading to Danny's to organise the evening festivities, which promised to be nothing short of extraordinary. Dean, aged 19, and his 16-year-old friend Danny had embarked on numerous adventures together over the years, and every time was nothing less than spectacular. That was just the rhythm of life for Dean and Danny, always seeking the extraordinary. Upon Dean's arrival at Danny's place, the preparations to the psychedelic journey commenced. This involved each of them indulging in 5 hits of Jimi Hendrix acid, an abundance of bongs, and an array of spliffs circulating among them. The night was rapidly evolving into an unforgettable experience. Dean and Danny found themselves spiralling into an intense psychedelic experience. Despite being seasoned trippers, this trip felt extremely overwhelming. The confines of their flat began to feel suffocating, prompting them to seek an escape. Danny resided in a block of flats within Coldest Estate, Oldham, situated close to an area known as the Oldham Edge. This expanse terrain consisted of rolling hills, open fields and dense woodlands crisscrossed by dirt paths. It was the ideal setting for 2 young adventurers deeply immersed in the hallucinogenic journey. With determination, Dean and Danny embarked on their wild expedition across the Oldham Edge. As Dean and Danny ventured deeper into the dense wilderness, they attempted to weave their way through the thick undergrowth of grass and trees. However, their journey took on an unexpected turn when they veered off the path and ended up entangled in a thicket of bushes. All the while, the effects of the hallucinogenic trip intensified, causing them to perceive branches as though they were reaching out to grab them. Frantically, they manoeuvred through the dense underbush, wildly in a frenzied manner. They managed to push through the bushes and emerge into a sizable clearing, a field with a tall, swaying grass. As they crossed the expanse of the field, they continued to wave their arms erratically, convinced that the branches were reaching out to ensnare them once more. However, in a moment of clarity, Dean and Danny exchanged amused glances in the middle of the field and burst into laughter. Resuming their journey with renowned determination, Danny suddenly reached out and forcefully halted Dean with a shout. Dean froze. His foot paused over a substantial, menacing animal trap adorned with sizable rusted teeth. Danny gripped Dean and carefully guided him away from the treacherous device. At that moment, neither of them comprehended the true nature of the trap. Danny had acted purely on instinct during the psychedelic odyssey. Dean and Danny casually approached the enigmatic contraption, the psychedelic haze still in full effect, whispering to each other, "What the hell is it?" After some time, they decided that it was a large, formidable animal trap. With resourcefulness, they snapped a substantial branch from a nearby tree and deployed it into the trap's centre, triggering it. Filled with a sense of accomplishment, they ventured further into the wilderness, satisfied that they had performed a commendable deed. As Dean and Danny trekked through the thick undergrowth, navigating their way among the trees and ascending a substantial hill, their journey grew increasingly challenging. Distinguishing reality from hallucination became a hard task for both of them. They stumbled and laughed uncontrollably, attempting to grasp at branches that weren't really there. Emerging from the woods and reaching the hill's summit, they were greeted by a breathtaking sight. Dean and Danny gazed in awe at the pragmatic vista before them. The city lights in the distance danced like a mesmerizing laser show at a rave. Overwhelmed by the effects of the LSD, they absorbed the view with wonder wonder in their eyes. Dean and Danny found themselves completely immersed in the vivid hallucinations induced by the LSD. They lifted their gaze towards the heavens, where the sky transformed into a mesmerising array of multicolours. It appeared as though the sky itself came alive, clouds materialising into graceful fish, and the entire expanse above them transformed into a boundless ocean. The sky teemed with a diverse array of sea creatures. Dean and Danny watched in astonishment as these fish and other marine creatures gracefully swam through the sky, piercing through the billowing clouds. Overwhelmed by the surreal spectacle, they halted, exchanging knowing glances and sharing descriptions of the fantastical scene. To their astonishment, they both perceived the same astonishing vision, an ocean in the sky with fish gliding through the clouds. Dean and Danny became utterly lost in this extraordinary trip, overstruck and filled with wonder at the unfolding spectacle. Eventually, after some time had passed, Dean and Danny managed to tear themselves away from this epic spectacle and began the journey back. It was a night they knew they would never forget, a shared experience that marked the principle of their psychedelic adventures. This was Dean and Danny's best trip in the world. Like, share, subscribe. Nice one.